To my disappointment, I have to report that effective at 12:01 a.m. this morning, we instituted a lockout of Major League players.
The Major League Baseball lockout began at midnight on December 2nd, when the collective bargaining agreement between the MLB Players Union and the team owners expired.
And at that point, the owners said, we're going to lock out the players, meaning they can't go to their facilities, they can't do anything.
We committed to the process, we made proposals, and it just did not happen.
I think the goal there was that the owners felt they could create a deadline by saying, you're not allowed to do this anymore until we get this figured out.
There is a growing mistrust between the players and owners, and it's been increasing with each negotiating cycle.
Basically dating back to the early 2000s, the feeling on the side of the players was that the collective bargaining agreements progressively got worse for them and more favorable to the owners. The owners' share of revenue has gone up dramatically, and the players' share of that revenue has not. And in fact, over the last few years, the average salary, depending on how you calculate it, has either gone down or been pretty stagnant.
The negotiations over when to start the pandemic-shortened 2020 season only exacerbated tensions between them.
Coming into this year, there was that tension hovering in the background and a feeling on the part of the players that they couldn't trust the owners to work with them in a good faith manner, and that has continued. The owners would be happy if everything stayed exactly the same. It's the players who are really pushing for systemic change.
We're trying to make the game better. We're trying to make the game more competitive through various means. It's not just me that thinks this, it's everybody. And it's obvious to all the players.
One of the players' main goals is restoring competitive integrity to the game, so bad teams aren't incentivized to lose in order to gain a higher draft pick.
What they mean by that is that they don't want the Baltimore Orioles to be allowed to lose 5 years in a row with no chance of competing and still get revenue shared with them from high market teams, still get the first draft pick overall.
The way the system is set up now, players at the beginning of their careers are significantly cheaper than the typical 30-year-old just hitting free agency.
Many of these major league front offices have looked at the numbers and said, why would I pay a 30-year-old who can hit 270 to do that when I can find a kid who's going to hit maybe 260 and cost me nothing?
Delaying spring training enough could mean delaying opening day.
If there's no agreement by the time pitchers and catchers report in mid-February, and the consensus right now is that there probably won't be, one of the things that they can do is just delay spring training. You could miss a few weeks of spring training and the regular season would not be in peril, but you also can't go too far or you're going to have to push the season back because people will not be ready.
The last time MLB canceled games due to labor issues was 1994, when the players struck mid-season.
There is a sense right now that this generation of players forgets what happened in 1994. It cost them the World Series, and a lot of fans were really upset. Devastated. There's an added pressure now because baseball is not what it was in the 90s. And I think that the game feels more fragile than it's felt in a long time in terms of its place in, the hearts of American sports fans. And this is not a time when people are particularly sympathetic to, to well-off people kind of arguing and complaining, because there's so much that, the average American is dealing with right now. So if you get to mid-March and don't have an agreement, I think it's fair to say that opening day will be pushed back. And so time is running out.